This is the Troll Patrol, live with Justin FREAKIN.
Welcome to the Troll Patrol Live. It's a freaking Wednesday. No, hold on. Missed a night. It's a freaking Thursday. I took Wednesday night off. I had a little incident. You see, I woke up yesterday morning to find out that Justin Mullins is no longer the owner of a Facebook account. Now you may wonder, why does that affect my show? Well, first of all, this show started as a Facebook Live show originally. And it was because Facebook kept banning me and putting me in Facebook jail that it became the omnipresent across 15 platforms Troll Patrol. It just springs up everywhere like herpes. It was a workaround to Facebook that caused the show to go to Twitch and YouTube and DLive and all that good shit. No, I compile my stories, or I did, using Facebook. I have done a really good job in the 13. First of all, I messaged a bunch of people, my 12, 13 years. I messaged them this picture and said, the long national nightmare is over. My reign of terror on Facebook has ended. I will no longer be calling people dumb fucks, morons, all the other sort of things that I like to call people. What's going on? I'm just explaining about losing my Facebook. I didn't do a show last night. And I save all the stories to the saved posts on Facebook. So I had a whole show planned about Josh Hawley and how horrible he is. And I didn't feel like doing the research elsewhere to put together a show last night. So I just said, fuck it. But tonight we're going to talk about fucking GameStop. And if you don't know what's going on with GameStop, I never addressed that, did I? Why did I lose it? I don't fucking know. They didn't tell me. Gave me no explanation whatsoever. Now, I have been in Facebook jail, more than out of Facebook jail, since 2015. Since fucking Donald Trump decided he was going to run for office. Facebook started cracking down on shit talkers. And I've been getting 30-day bans. Like, I've been eating them like they're candy. But I don't know. I've been a good boy. See, I've developed. That's where I've got my catchphrase. Right-wingers are morons. That's where it came from, because I could say right-wingers are morons without it being targeted harassment on Facebook, and I wouldn't get popped with a ban. So I developed this whole dialect around Facebook's rules. And I've been a good boy. I haven't even really been trolling people. Because honestly, it's just not fucking fun anymore. If I can't call people dumb fucks, I have way more fun letting people call in and try to argue with me. By the way, the phone lines are open if you would like to call in. 917-830-4359, or you can hop on the Discord. You can catch the link down in the description. I'm sorry I don't spend more time in my Discord server. Without a Facebook, I might, you might say like, oh, you're looking at Facebook. This is my Facebook for doing this show. Amazingly, it didn't get popped. I figured it did. Because that's what the show was originally supposed to be. The show was originally supposed to be me trolling live on Facebook. I'm envious of you. I was in the queue yesterday for the PlayStation Direct drop. But it's a randomized queue, and when it hit the queue, it was like well over an hour wait, and I'm like, yep, I'm not getting in. Because you got to be like first 5-10 minutes, so you got to be in like the absolute front of that queue to get through, to get stocked up. I kept looking today. PS Direct does their drops around 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock time. So I was looking for it, and they never did a drop today. And there was a rumor that Best Buy was going to do a drop. GameStop did one yesterday, or maybe I've got it backwards. Maybe it was supposed to be GameStop today. Speaking of GameStop, we're going to talk all about GameStop here in just a little bit. Yeah, GameStop had there was a bundle. It was GameStop. GameStop had a bundle yesterday. But they were really expensive. They were like $6.25 was the cheapest bundle. And like they came with shit I didn't really want. I mean, I was thinking about it anyway just because they were so hard to come by, but like they went fast. They go like one of them came with a headset and a camera and like a $20 GameStop gift card or some shit. By the way, I'm not high enough for this shit right now, so smoke them if you got them. Have you actually gotten your PS5? Have you just ordered it? Has it already arrived? Because like I'm kind of like, if I'm this close to getting a PS5, I'm holding off on playing. Like I haven't started any new games right now. I've been playing Tetris and fucking PGA Tour. Because like if I'm gonna play Ghost of Tsushima, I want to play it because I've got a base model PS4, so I've got this nice 4K TV. What are you playing on it right now? What are you partaking on? Because there's not a lot that's native to the PS4. I'm just kind of like if I'm gonna play the games I've got right now, which I do. I want to play Immortals, Phoenix Rising. I'm very like I almost bought it for the PS4, and I'm like, no, if I'll have a PS5 by March, April, whenever they're available widely for sure. I'll have one. Yeah, see, you're not playing because that came out on all the platforms, didn't it? It came out on PS4, so it's not like you're playing anything. The rush to get. Like, I wouldn't be rushing to get one except that I have the base model PS4, so I'm not in 4K. I've got a nice 4K TV. I upgraded in the spring when I'd been holding off on getting a 4K TV, and I knocked my old TV off its stand and broke it. So I needed a new TV anyway, so I got a new 4K TV. So like, cause I was waiting to get up to the next gen because there's no reason to have one. But like I've been watching a lot of 4K movies. It's been a lot of fun. I watched Labyrinth this past week, the David Bowie Gremlin King in 4K, and Rambo. My friend. So I never pick my movie that I'm going to watch. I will give a friend like 3 picks and say like, pick which movie I'm going to watch. I gave my buddy 3 picks in 4K surround sound and everything. I said, pick which movie I'm going to watch. And he's like, you have to watch Rambo and Labyrinth. You got to watch both of them. I'm like, God damn. So I did. It was a Friday night. I didn't have anything else to do. So I was like, all right. Fuck yeah, I'll watch both of them. But then, like, apparently Easy Rider's not a really good movie because that was the other one I gave him as a pick. But yeah, like, I was just waiting on, getting a PS5. And I was going to get a 4K TV, but now that I got the 4K TV, I'm itching to get something that plays 4K. And I would like to take this PS4 and put it in the bedroom because as for playing games, there's not really anything out on it. Because, I always play my games on console. But you've got fucking... like... Cyberpunk may be the first game I actually play on... Because I've got a really nice computer. People... Obviously, I do in order to do all the streaming and shit. gamers come in my house and freak out that I don't game on this thing. But I play like single-player, story-driven games. So PlayStation, Sony, wonderful for that shit. But I might have to play Cyberpunk on this computer. Because it don't look like it runs on a... It looks like it takes a hit on a PS5 and Xbox. Now, I had a friend tell me it's just fine. His experience was fine, but like I've seen the comparisons. And I'm like, God damn, I might have to play it on a computer. Smoke them if you got them. I'm not high enough for this shit. So while we're on the topic of video games, that's the big story today is GameStop, the brick and mortar retailer, that it's seen its stock shoot up like, okay, you gotta... That, by the way, that's the GameCube intro music. That is GameStop's stock price. This at like the height, 2007 was their stock price. That's when they were doing great. That's their stock price today. It has been insane. So we've got a bunch of... I guess I got to try to explain it first of all. I don't know anything about fucking financial. In the course of doing my video editing, my audio editing, I do a lot of financial work. I do videos. I make financial products for people. I edit financial podcasts. I have no fucking clue what these people are doing. And I sit when I'm editing like a podcast that's business, or I do news of the day through videos, articles, and shit. We're talking about GameStop right now. We're going to talk about AOC dunking on Ted Cruz, Marjorie Taylor Greene being a nut job. She chased down David Hogg. Am I a libertarian? No. You think that's a Gadsden flag behind me, but that's actually my own original design that says right-wingers are morons and has a derpy snake on it. Hold on. Because right-wingers are the dumbest fucks walking the planet. I meet libertarians and I'm like, all right, explain to me the problem of initial just acquisition. And they look at me like I got turds coming out of my mouth. And like one of them, I said, explain the problem of initial just acquisition. And he's like, that sounds like some liberal bullshit. And I'm like, no, that sounds like Nozick's own fucking critique of his goddamn philosophy, you dumb motherfucker. So no, I'm not a fan of libertarians. So if you were to chart me on the political axis, I'm way down there in the libertarian left side. So we're gonna listen to a rich motherfucker on CNBC give us a lowdown, but this guy's pretty cool. I wouldn't call myself that, no. Yes, on the political, when you take the political compass, I'm all the way down in the left corner at the bottom. I don't personally see myself like that though. And I especially wouldn't call myself a libertarian, because you call yourself a libertarian, you think like fucking people that want to abolish the age of consent or some shit. A lot of people pop in the chat and ask me if I'm libertarian. Yeah. A lot of libertarians think there shouldn't be laws and that the government getting in between them making a contract with a child is a bad thing. And if you follow libertarian philosophy to its conclusion, of course, like, You shouldn't be able to stand in the way of that contract. A kid should be able to fucking work in the mines because they got little hands. They can do things others can't. There shouldn't be an age of consent. I told you, right-wingers are morons. A stateless society, no. There'll always be a need for a state. I think we could evolve. We could evolve past a lot of things. But you're always going to have some form of a judicial system to enforce contracts because there's going to be business questions. There's going to be questions of property rights. There's always going to be that thing. There's always going to have to be things that are going to need to be adjudicated. So you can't have a totally stateless society. But I think you can reform and streamline the state in a way that it works for the people. We're going to talk about the way that they're going to try to put regulations because of some Redditors here in just a little bit. All right. This guy that we're going to hear from, he's actually pretty cool. He's some rich motherfucker. He's the CEO of Social Capital, I think is the name of the company. He's on the phone with this douchebag from CNBC. And hopefully he's got... Oh, I need to break it down. That's right. I need to... So, some Wall Street Bets Reddit. I don't know if that's the link that you sent me there, Producer Dave. This Wall Street Bets Reddit had been like... They give financial advice. They're kind of wild. You know how Reddit groups work. Oh, it's a funny political compass. Okay, hold on, let me... Oh, I bet I know which one it is. Oh no, I've not seen this one. Shit, I can't read all that right now, Dave. There's one that has like the Aryan numbers up, and there's like 420 down in the bottom left-hand corner, and it's like 13 over in the... Cracked me up. All right, so a bunch of Redditors noticed that there were short sellers that were betting against GameStop. They were betting that GameStop's stock was going to go down. I don't know fucking shit about financial stuff. But basically, you can take a bet against a stock that you can buy the stock at a reduced price that you think it's going to be. And it's like you're doing like a rental thing. See, I don't even fucking know, and all the times I've heard it explained, it doesn't even sound like it's fucking legal. Basically, they were driving down the price of GameStop. So a bunch of Redditors got together and decided to buy stock mainly through Robinhood. I don't want to use an app like Robinhood because Robinhood it doesn't have a fee on its trading because it sells your data to Wall Street firms so that they can hedge their bets off of having your data. It's a whole mess of shit, but basically the Redditors made a lot of money. You promise to sell the stock at a set price at a later date. If the price of the stock goes down significantly, you buy it at the cheaper agreed upon price for resale and make a bunch of money on the stock going down. So they were betting that GameStop was going to go down. See, it doesn't seem like you should be able to do this shit. But alright. So today we woke up, Robinhood had restricted buying GameStop. AMC, there's a couple other stocks that they're doing this to, kind of worthless companies, Nokia. It does seem like voodoo shit because that's exactly what it is. And just as soon as the people found out the loophole to take advantage of it, they're gonna try to do something about it. That's why we're getting ready to watch video after video, some rich motherfuckers bitching about it, I'm sure. I think this dude's got the right take
On Tuesday,
I'm not exactly sure, though.
Call options. Chamath Palihapitiya is the CEO of Social Capital. He joins us now on the phone. Chamath, thank you for being here.
Hi, Scott. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. So you tweeted yesterday that you bought $115 calls in GameStop. Can you tell me what your position is as of this very moment?
Yeah. Can I tell you a little story before all of that, or no?
Why don't you tell me that first, and then we'll go from there.
So this morning I woke up after spending all last night in Wall Street bets, reading about all of this stuff. I ended up closing up my position this morning, and I wanted to announce that I'm taking all the profits that I made, plus my original position. So I'm going to take $500,000, and I'm going to donate to the Barstool Fund for Small Businesses. But I really want to tell you, beyond the $500,000,
Oh, those guys are dickwads.
donation or the money that I invested, which was, not.
But it seems like they're doing a good thing.
That stock or the entire market. What I learned, because I think what I learned over the last couple of days is important for everybody that's watching CNBC.
And that is?
I think that what you're seeing is essentially a pushback against the establishment in a really important way. You have a lot of people, and I would encourage anybody who is dismissive of this thing to go into Wall Street Bets and actually just read the forums. And I think that you're going to see three kinds of posts. The first kind of content are a lot of people doing some incredible fundamental diligence on companies, trying to think about long-term value. And in my opinion, many of them are doing as good and, frankly, a better job than a lot of hedge fund analysts that I work with. That's number one. The second are a lot of people who believe that, coming out of 2008, what happened was Wall Street took an enormous amount of risk, and they left retail as the bag holder. And a lot of these kids were in grade school and high school when that happened. They lost their homes. Their parents lost their jobs. And they've always wondered, why did those folks get bailed out for taking enormous amounts of risk, and nobody helped and showed up to help my family? And then the third thing is a realization that instead of having idea dinners or, quiet, whispered conversations amongst hedge funds in the Hamptons, these kids have the courage to do it transparently in a forum. And I'm not saying all of it is perfect by any means.
Oh, so Melvin has already, they sold out?
An enormous amount of
I have no clue what
faith
that
in the
fucking
system
means.
to be that transparent, to talk about things, and then for each individual to make their own mind up and to do things, whether it's to buy and to sell.
So I guess they bought the stock back at whatever price it was whenever they sold out. I thought the whole Robinhood closing down was to drive the price of the stock back down. Because I was under the impression that they had they had a deadline, and the deadline was tomorrow, as I understood it. So this is former WWE champion John Bradshaw Layfield on Fox News Channel. He's actually pretty good. He's conservative, though. But he knows finance.
We've seen short squeezes before. We've seen companies that weren't worth very much before. And Thomas was right when he talks about this is a $17 stock, this GameStop stock. It's going to go back to that eventually. And you're going to see all these retail investors.
I thought it was like $4.
This is going to end up ugly. The problem that you have, though, is trying to regulate the last trade.
Oh, 17 is where it started.
You can't regulate bad decisions. And who says it is a bad decision? That's a right of an American to make a decision, whether it's good or bad. What you need to look into is, was there any collusion for the start of this trade? Because it looks like there was somebody that put this momentum trade together. And if so, then those people are probably already on the other side of the trade now. And the question is, where do they go next? Because if you end up trying to stop what they are doing here in the short equity market, they're going to go somewhere else because this model worked. This was a fantastic trade, one of the best of the last 10 years. Whether you like how they did it or not, they made a lot of money. They're going to go into currency shorts, or they're going to go into commodity futures, most likely next. The question is where.
But then, how is what they're doing anything other than what the market is designed for? Other than it's just poor people, regular people doing it. I'm really not getting that. let's check out the CEO of Robinhood was just on, might have been MSNBC, CNBC. This was just a couple hours ago, I think, 6:06. That's when they posted it.
Bring in the CEO of Robinhood, Vlad Atenev, is with us right now, and we appreciate it.
Yeah. JBL is referring to it as like some nefarious, like, organized crime syndicate or some shit. Like, he's talking about it like the Melvin Capital, that's what they were doing. And doing it in a predatory way. The opposite way. I wouldn't kick him out of bed. And I wouldn't turn down the invite from the two of you.
You joining us on a day where there are so many questions, and as Melissa just said, there are frankly...
Exactly. They noticed that GameStop was being shorted. And I had somebody bring up, like, there's a nostalgia to it. Like, the people on Reddit probably grew up going to GameStop, going to midnight releases with games. And they didn't want to see it be taken advantage of by these assholes the way they did Toys R Us. So, goddamn. And we don't really get any honesty from the financial media, that's for sure. But this is the thing. So I guess primarily a lot of this took place on Robinhood. Apparently 50-something% of the users on Robinhood own stock in GameStop.
As you know, a lot of angry customers out there and a lot of questions about what took place and the decisions that you made to limit so many of your customers' ability to buy stocks like GameStop. Questions about...
And also, like, I think this story is far more significant than what any of us realize right now. Like, this could be studied in the history books as a real turning point in our society. Because there are a lot of factors at play right now.
Whether you have a liquidity problem, whether you're trying to protect them from themselves, whether Citadel did this. Explain what happened today.
I want to pet his eyebrows. They're so perfect.
Andrew. So what happened today was, as you pointed out, we had to make a very difficult decision. It's been a challenging day. We made the decision in the morning,
and we should want to
limit the buying of about 13 securities on our platform. So to be clear, customers could still sell those securities if they had positions in them, and they could also trade in the thousands of other securities on our platform. So it was a difficult decision, and that's what we had to do as part of normal operations.
But explain then, why did you do this? What did the SEC...
Well, it's not just their investors, but it's like, that's their main customer. They're not making money off of the trades that regular people are doing. They are making money off of selling the data from people, from the app. So right from the get-go, they have the wrong incentive. That's why I won't use the Robinhood app. But also, I have a shit ton of penny stock. And apparently it's really hard to find a broker that deals with that. I've been trying to start an account somewhere, and I gave up just because everywhere I call, we're like, nah, we can't deal with that. Well, that's where his money is coming from. That's what his product is, the data of its users. He sells it to the hedge funds so that they have a leg up on the people that are doing the investing. So they're actually using the app against the people that he's actually selling their data to. So I can understand his incentive is the other way. That makes total sense.
call you and tell you you had to do this? Was there a problem inside the company in terms of liquidity, in terms of the amount of deposits that you had to put it in front to the exchanges? What led to this?
Sure, and let me explain exactly how this works. First of all,
but that was never his business model.
The misinformation that's been out there, because there's a lot of it. We absolutely did not do this at the direction of any market maker or hedge fund or anyone we route to or other market participants. The reason.
Now, I believe that. I believe that there's no fucking hedge fund or anything reaching out to him and be like, hey, can you stop them from buying? I believe that 100%. Exactly. That's a straw man for him to be able to get up there and fight against. That's not what you're accused of, motherfucker. But your incentives put it in your benefit to do that for them.
And we did it was because Robinhood is a brokerage firm. We have lots of financial requirements, including SEC net capital requirements and clearinghouse deposits. So that's money that we have to deposit at various clearinghouses. So some of these requirements fluctuate quite a bit based on volatility in the markets, and they can be substantial in.
Oh, so I believe what he's trying to say is that it was too much money for them to actually go and make a deposit on. So that they had to cut off buying.
In the current environment where there's a lot of volatility
exactly
and a lot of concentrated activity in
but even his explanation is couched in this fucking complex language that I had to be like, oh, this is what he's saying.
Social media. So we're really in unprecedented times, and in order to protect the firm and protect our customers, we had to limit buying in these stocks. And to be absolutely clear, Go ahead.
But it sounds to me, though, that you're suggesting that there was a liquidity problem inside the firm. And my question about that then raises all sorts of new questions about whether there's a systemic issue underneath the system and underneath the company unto itself.
Oh, did you see that? He smirked.
There was no liquidity problem.
He's like, oh shit, he got me.
This was done preemptively. So we did this proactively, and thousands of other securities remain tradable on the platform. Customers that held these positions were able to sell them. And we're doing what we can to allow buying and to remove these restrictions in the morning. But also, you might have seen Robinhood has been
drive it down as far as they can today and let them get out.
Overall, so we have seen unprecedented interest due to the fact that finance has been culturally relevant in a way that hasn't been before, and these stocks are going viral on social media. And I think it's really interesting to juxtapose against some of these other questions that we've been having before this. Of course, Robinhood stands for everyday investors. From the very beginning, we have stood for investors.
No. It is stealing from the poor and giving to the rich.
Trade commission free and whatever they want. And we've gotten a lot of criticism that, maybe there should be more restrictions. So it pains us to have had to impose these restrictions, and we're going to do what we can to enable trading in these stocks as soon as we can.
God damn. We ain't done with GameStop videos, that's for sure. I do not know what this guy's name is. I think he's right. But then again, this was posted by Young Americans for Liberty. They don't usually have the right position. But I think he's sticking up for the Reddit investors.
First of all of this nonsense, all of this noise, all of this whining by Wall Street, it's making me sick. 140% of GameStop was short. I didn't hear one person on TV complaining about Wall Street trying to crush GameStop. 140% short. I told my subscribers, buy this stock, and they made a fortune. I also told them to buy Virgin Space. Virgin, we took profits on that today. Fizz, that's up huge. Tangers is up huge. Neil, you can't allow Wall Street to short 75% of a stock, and nobody says anything. Crush these companies into the dirt, and then when the individual investor makes money, everyone's up in arms. Oh, they're going to lose their shirt. Don't you think people are trading? If it traded 80 billion shares today, people are ringing the register. I have a kid who bought a house. He made $50,000 and bought a house. So yes, some people are going to lose and some are going to win. But if they want to change the rules of the game now because the general public is making money after decades of the shorts crushing thousands of stocks into the dirt. I have watched stocks being crushed completely to zero, and no one ever whispered anything because those stocks didn't have Wall Street sponsorship. They were small names. Maybe they went public through a reverse takeover. Whatever it was, the shorts have had their way with the market for decades. No one's ever complained about it. So I am thrilled. I
don't know how it's legal in the first place.
140% of its stock. You have to accept the fact that individual investors are playing the same game that you're playing, and now you're losing.
That's the right take. And we got it from Fox fucking Business Channel. Holy shit. But this is going to be a huge topic, especially like in the opening days of the Biden administration. Jen Psaki was asked about it earlier today.
The White House concerned about the stock market activity we're seeing around GameStop, and now with some other stocks as well.
Hey-o!
The subsidiary or whatever, the company that was Blockbuster. And have there been any conversations with the SEC?
Wait, Blockbuster was one of them too? In the arms of... I didn't know they were doing Blockbuster. I knew it was AMC, Virgin, Nokia. Blockbuster. I didn't even know Blockbuster still existed. Is there even still one around?
About how to proceed.
Well, I'm also happy to repeat that we have the first female Treasury Secretary and a team that's surrounding her, and often questions about market we'll send to them. But our team is, of course...
Dude, I haven't had a Nokia in 20 fucking years.
The situation. It's a good reminder, though, that the stock market isn't the only measure of the health of our economy. It doesn't reflect how working and middle-class families are doing. As you all know from covering this, we're in the midst of a K-shaped recovery. America's workers are struggling to make ends meet, which is why the president has introduced this urgent package to get immediate relief to families. All right, I'm going to go Nadia, and then we'll be...
Go ahead. Is the White House concerned about the stock market?
The K-shaped recovery. I hadn't heard that term in a little while. I shudder to think what they're going to do in response to this. But it looks like Liz Warren might be one of the ones that's up front, so maybe they'll do the right thing. A yellow Nokia. I don't remember. I remember them always being like they were blue and they had like a little gray thing on them. She seems normal. Holy, like anything's gonna seem normal next to what we've had. I can't even tell you what I did with my Nokia from 20 years ago. And I do remember that my ringtone was do you think it's still in one piece somewhere? It played Real Slim Shady as its ringtone in MIDI.
Retail trading activity and subsequent restrictions placed on trading.
That's probably what happened to it.
And Interactive Brokers has caught the attention of many elected officials, some of whom are calling for increased.
What are we doing? Oh, this is Liz Warren.
Senator Elizabeth Warren weighed in, tweeting yesterday, quote, "The same hedge funds, private equity firms and wealthy investors dismayed by the GameStop trades have treated the stock market like their own personal casino while everyone else pays the price. It's long past time for the SEC and other financial regulators to wake up and do their jobs." And joining us now for a first on-scene...
Well, we have a Democratic administration now.
Democratic Senator from Massachusetts. Senator Warren, thanks so much for joining us. Good afternoon to you.
It's good to see you. Thank you for having me.
So talk us through what you meant by the content of that tweet. What do you think has been wrong in the actions of the last week or two, and what do regulators need to do to stop it?
So look, the first part of this is we all see what's happening with GameStop. There are rich people on both sides of this, people who are trying, it appears, to manipulate this market, and that's what we don't know.
Wait, she just both sides of this thing? Come on. Fucking Senator Warren, this is the biggest layup that you could possibly be faced with. Do not let the guy on Fox fucking Business Channel have a better take on this. This is supposed to be your area of expertise.
The details of. For a long time now, the SEC has pulled back and not made sure that we have an honest market. The whole point of having a stock market is so that people across this country, around the world, can invest in businesses, help create that capital accumulation.
Not rich.
Businesses have the money they need to grow and to prosper. Instead, what has happened is it's turned into.
Or I'm sure
so that market manipulators.
I'm sure there's a lot of disgruntled Wall Street workers in that thread. I'm sure there's a lot of bright minds that, like, say fuck the man and don't want to work at a Wall Street firm but know the material very well. Express. Like the mall store Express. That makes sense, and GameStop's a mall store. AMC's kind of a good bet. I would say if you're looking at late summer, fall, full on opening, I'd say the demand's gonna be high. So AMC is probably a really good stock to buy when it's at this low point at this moment. I would think that's a really good one. I might want. I need an investment account, but don't do Robinhood. All right. Okay. Come on. Senator Warren, please.
Come in and they drive markets up or down and make a profit on it. It's called the gamification of the market. And all of a sudden,
I've never heard of structure, so that must have been like a West Coast thing.
The only ones who make money when the manipulation works. But remember the other half of this. There are going to be a lot of people who are going to lose money around this, a lot of money that they can't afford to lose. This is why we need an SEC that has clear rules about market manipulation, and
I have no clue what cost is
to go in and enforce those rules.
So, Senator Warren, is your bigger issue that these types of trades were going on over the last couple of weeks and pushing GameStop up, or that people...
Surprise is not the word that I'll like. Yeah, all this makes sense. It's all a perfect storm.
Opposite, and I just wonder which is the bigger issue.
I do know.
The bigger issue for me is the SEC's inability and unwillingness to deal with market manipulation. It's not just what's happened in the last couple of weeks. Let me take an example. The example around stock buybacks. We all understand what stock buybacks are about. They're about companies buying back their own stock so they can inflate I
don't know. You guys might not have been in here when I showed the graph. Let's show it again, because it's so fucking funny. I found this on Twitter. One more time. I'm no fan of GameStop, but I have a lot of memories. I've spent way too much time in GameStop.
The price of that stock. That's just the economics of what happens. And it was market manipulation up through the 1980s when the Reagan era SEC said, well, really not so much. And so
I mean, she's got a good historical tape, but
routinely manipulate their own stock. We're watching the same kinds of things happen everywhere. Outfits like Robinhood that say, we're going to give you prizes to come join with us. And then say, but you have to sign something that says there'll be an arbitration clause. So if it turns out that we really did cheat you, it'll never be made public. There'll be very little that you can do about it. That doesn't create a healthy market. What we need is a healthy stock market, and to have a healthy stock market,
it sounds incredibly predatory.
Have a cop on the beat. That should be the SEC. They need to step up and do their job.
Well, at least, okay, I can't be too hard on her because she was coming at this from a completely different perspective. And ultimately, she is right. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Senator Ted Cruz. Their meme stock collection, what the fuck up? AOC and Ted Cruz. AOC tweets out, we now need to know more about @Robinhood app's decision to block retail investors from purchasing stock, while hedge funds are freely able to trade the stock as they see fit. She makes the threat as the member of the Financial Services Committee. Ted Cruz says he fully agrees. I want the other tweet. Where do I get AOC's reply? She wrecked him. Hold on. I don't know what that means, Merkin. I've struggled to make it through this story. Ted Cruz's wife works for Goldman Sachs. Where's her fucking comeback? I'm sorry, I had a story with it. Like, she wrecked him. Here we go. She said, I'm happy to work with Republicans on this issue where there's common ground, but you almost had me murdered 3 weeks ago, so you can sit this one out. Happy to work with almost any other GOP that aren't trying to get me killed. In the meantime, if you want to help, you can resign. She wasn't done. While you conveniently talk about moving on, a second Capitol Police officer lost their life yesterday in the still raging aftermath of the attacks you had a role in. This isn't a joke. We need accountability. And that includes a new senator from Texas. Mic fucking drop. You haven't even apologized for the serious physical and mental harm you contributed to from Capitol Police and custodial workers to your own fellow members of Congress. In the meantime, you can get off my timeline and stop clout chasing. Thanks. Happy to work with other GOP on this. Honestly, and God, I hope that Reddit doesn't get shut down. Let's hear from AOC and what she has to say about the violent aftermath and the Republicans' positioning on it.
I actually sense a profound difference between the Republican caucus of last term, the 115th Congress, and the Republican caucus of this term, that we are now, a few weeks into at this point. And that difference was that it really felt that last term, the Republican caucus was one of...
Is it any more or less toxic than the rest of Reddit? You're just going to have, there are just people in any subgroup that are just going to be assholes, shit posters, trolls. It's like Xbox Live talk. I don't know what Xbox Live is like. I'm a Sony fanboy. That's what I was. I don't want to say this close to having a PS5 because I was in the queue, but the queue was. I don't think I was close at all.
Extreme fealty to Donald Trump. There were some that were true believers, others that simply remained quiet out of cowardice and out of fear of the president's retribution. But this term, there are legitimate white supremacist sympathizers that sit at the heart and at the core of the Republican caucus in the House of Representatives.
And we found out that militia groups were planning the attack on the Capitol since November. We keep learning more and more. While we found out that Republicans, 45 of them, said that the impeachment is unconstitutional, I don't know that by the time that the trial comes around, we won't know a hell of a lot more about what happened, and it's going to be a hell of a lot harder for them to vote against impeaching the motherfucker. We know they planned it, and we know that Roger Stone helped finance it. And what? It couldn't be any clearer, the connection straight to Trump. We're going to talk about Democrats may be backing down and have been deciding to do something less than impeachment. We're going to talk about that here in just a little bit.
And when you see someone like the House Minority Leader, Kevin McCarthy of the Republican Party, respond to white supremacist vitriol coming from his own members, not with censure like they did with Representative Steve King of Iowa, not with, being stripped of committees, not with any consequence. You have to wonder who actually has that power. And it increasingly seems, unfortunately, that in the House Republican
caucus, now less modestly
Kevin McCarthy answers to these QAnon members of Congress, not the other way around. And that is something that frankly needs to be said. He said he was going to pull Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene aside after,
NBC is owned by Comcast. NBC is not, and they've been sold in the last 10 years. So it's not the net when it was fucking Keith Olbermann in the mid to late 2000s and shit. It's not the same network anymore. It's completely fucking different now. And it was never really that far left to begin with. Anything that sells advertising isn't really to the left. More like a neoliberal corporatist.
You know, her comments to Parkland activists and comments saying that Muslim Americans should not fully and freely serve in the House, that they must be
love the
Streisand
effect,
etc. But I've seen Kevin McCarthy.
Well, and this just makes the
and that representative.
Same thing with the GameStop. It just makes the next time and the next company they do it to is going to be that much bigger.
What Kevin McCarthy did was that he pulled him aside to essentially.
I always watch the Majority Report after I do my show because I don't want it to slant
Kevin
what
McCarthy's
I do.
lack of holding his own caucus accountable.
I'm glad you bring that up. It's also Thursday, so not that I don't like old Matt, but I'm a little bummed out when I don't get Sam for the fun hour. I don't watch the Majority. Like, I get off doing my show and I watch the Majority Report to make dinner. Because I don't, and then like I get really excited when they play the same video clips I play and shit. I'm like, I did a good job. Like that's how I'm doing. Like I feel good when I'm like, all right, I'm covering the same kind of angle and everything. But I don't want them to slant me any more than ever. I mean, fuck, I've been listening to Sam since he was on Air America back in the mid 2000s. So, like, any more than Sam has already slanted me.
Is one major reason why I went to the floor last year to hold Yoho accountable myself. And so
Agreed.
When I hear that Representative McCarthy is going to pull a member aside who has made white supremacist sympathizing comments, the thing that I think is, what is he going to tell them? Keep it up?
Probably. Fucking Ken McCarthy's probably a white supremacist.
For violence. There's no consequences for racism, no consequences for misogyny, no consequences for insurrection. And no consequences means that they condone it. It means that silence is acceptance. And they want it because they know that it is a core animating political energy for them. And this is extremely dangerous, an extremely dangerous threshold that we have crossed, because we are now away from acting out of fealty to their president that they had in the Oval Office. And now we are talking about fealty to white supremacist organizations as a political tool. And for, Republicans that are in that caucus that are unwilling to hold that accountable or to distance themselves from it, we really, really need to ask ourselves what they are evolving into. Yeah. Because this is no longer about a party of limited government. This is about something much more nefarious.
I don't think it was ever about a party of limited government. You can go back and listen to Lee Atwater say it in the infamous interview from the early 80s. Where he's talking about you can't just be outright racist anymore. You talk about states' rights and tax cuts. The end result is you're being racist, but you don't come off as racist. But now, Tucker Carlson didn't take too kindly to AOC's comments.
Equity and inclusion means that you will believe.
I don't know. I think AOC happened after Tucker, so I'm not saying he actually reacted to her, but these go together pretty well.
What they tell you to believe, period, or else you're a terrorist, and they can hurt you, because we hurt terrorists. Listen to America's new Grand Inquisitor, Adam Schiff of California.
We have been urging for some time that the FBI and the Department of Homeland Security raise the priority to domestic terrorism, to white nationalism as it threatens the country. And we're going to continue.
Well, the FBI has been screaming about it for, 15, 20 years now?
The attention
I guess not, about 15.
9/11 to the threat from international terrorism. We need to.
They also wrote papers on it in the mid-90s.
Domestic terrorism.
Got that? Vote the wrong way, and you are a jihadi. You thought you were an American citizen with rights and just a different view, but no, you're a jihadi. And we're going to treat you the way we treated those radicals after 9/11, the way we treated bin Laden. Get in line, pal. This is a war on terror. Keep in mind, as you listen to people talk like this, and Adam Schiff is far from the only one, keep in mind, they're talking about American citizens here. They're talking about you. But no,
this is fear-mongering. They're talking about you, the white supremacists. I know who we are talking about. We're talking about people like Marjorie Taylor Greene. Holy fuck. Girls Carlson still has a job. If you are not familiar with newly elected Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, holy shit. In the past week, liberal groups and media outlets have scrutinized Greene's past social media activities and unearthed a wealth of inflammatory material, the most recent involving a Parkland shooting victim. This has forced Republicans once again to distance themselves from the businesswoman turned conservative activist turned elected politician. But it's what she represents that makes the situation tricky. Full-throated grassroots Trumpism, which is confrontational, conspiracy-laden, and sometimes tinged with racial overtones. So this is her confronting David Hogg.
Yeah. David, why are you supporting the red flag laws? If Scott Peterson, the resource officer at Parkland, had done his job, then Nicholas Cruz wouldn't have killed anybody in your high school.
Oh, she blaming it all on that one cop? Who's back on the job, I believe.
And why are you using kids to get as a barrier? Do you not know how to defend your stance? Look, I'm an American citizen. I'm a gun owner. I have a concealed carry permit. I carry a gun with for protection. Major press coverage on this issue. And how did you get kids? Why do you use kids? Why kids?
What? He's a kid.
School zones.
I guess he's like 19 or 20 now.
Guards with guns, there would be no mass shootings at schools. Do you know that? The best way to stop a bad guy with a gun is with a good guy with a gun.
She doesn't even fucking know her point. She probably thinks fucking Parkland was staged.
I want you to think about that. That's where we are. And he's a coward. He can't say one word because he can't defend his stance. Because there is no defense for taking away guns. There is no defense for gun confiscation. Zero.
He doesn't owe you a debate, woman. You can't just confront him on the street and expect him to, like, have a conversation with you. Holy fuck. I'm sure you'll play that one day. Could Greene be expelled by Congress? It seems unlikely that Gomez's efforts to force Greene from Congress will be successful, however. Reaching the 2/3 majority in the batshit crazy Congress we have right now, where they're completely sympathetic. The GOP caucus, a good chunk of it, is sympathetic to this bullshit. All the rest don't want to say anything because they don't want to get the dumb fucks all riled up. And even some Democrats may be uneasy ejecting a colleague for remarks made before she was elected, lest it lower the bar for such moves in the future when they may be in the minority. Al fucking Franken! What the hell? Al Franken already had to step down because of a stupid joke picture he did. Holy fuck. And that woman, she ended up being crazy conservative.
As a conservative, it's getting harder and harder to not look like a kook.
They all fucking look like kooks. Holy shit. Speaking of conservative kooks, let's check in on Sidney Powell. So this is a brief from David and Nathan Fink, a father and son duo who represent the city of Detroit. And they are trying to sanction Lynn Wood and Sidney Powell. And this is from the opening statement. Let there be no mistake, there is blood on Lynn Wood and Sidney Powell's hands, and on the hands of all those who push this lawsuit. Brian Sicknick, a Trump-supporting Capitol police officer, died defending the Capitol against those who were deranged by plaintiffs' counsel and their ilk. It goes on to I have explained why I took yesterday off. You may not be aware, but I was permanently banned from Facebook. And I had been using the save feature on Facebook to put my shows together. And I pretty much had my show together already. And Facebook nuked me. We were going to do a deep dive into Josh Hawley yesterday. And I was just kind of bummed out by the fact that I didn't want to have to do all that work again. So I edited a bunch of podcasts, including I do a podcast. I edit. I don't do a podcast. I edit a podcast where they bring in rich people that fled communist countries, and they bitch about communism. It has been nothing but propaganda. They said the stupidest shit. I can't think of anything like off the top of my head, but it pays really well. And if I wasn't editing that podcast, they pay me really, really fucking well. The other day, he paid me $75 for something that took me about 20 minutes to do. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. I'm totally down with that. He has asked me just to put like an intro and outro on an episode, and he was going to pay me $50 for that. And I said, no. You do not owe me anything for that. And I figured if I wasn't taking their money, somebody else would. So I'm going to take his money and I'm going to use it to buy drugs and do fucking liberal crazy ass shit. And shit on capitalism. I also, it's a whole podcast company. I do they've got a Christian businesswoman. She's sassy. I kind of like her. But she gives tips for young Christians, like about their resumes and how to go for a job interview. She says a prayer at the end of it and everything. Like it is a completely conservative conglomerate. And I think it's hilarious. House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy made a trip down to Mar-a-Lago.
You know, John, the former president, Donald Trump, as we've been reporting, he met with the minority
to speak with Donald Trump. Met Thursday in Palm Beach, Florida, where the two Republicans discussed strategy for winning the House majority in next year's midterms. They discussed many topics, number one of which was taking back the House in 2022. President Trump's popularity has never been stronger than it is today. And that's actually true. There was new polling coming out today. He really could shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue and nobody would fucking care. And his endorsement means more than perhaps any endorsement at any time. And I ain't wrong. The statement described the meeting as cordial and highlighted a stronger than expected performance among key House GOP candidates. McCarthy's visit comes at a tumultuous time for the Republican Party, following Trump's role ahead of the January 6th deadly riot storming the Capitol that led to his second impeachment. By the way, we will be covering that. What? We're still like 2 weeks away? A week and a half away? The trial begins the week of February 8th. We will be right here. I mean, if they go through with that trial. Chuck Schumer, though, seems to be adamant about having it. However, 2 U.S. senators, a Democrat and a Republican, are working to attract support for a vote to censure former President Donald Trump. Now that it appears the Senate is unlikely to convict him on the House impeachment article. Interesting. While a majority of the Senate voted this week to proceed with a trial, the 55-45 vote was well short of the 2/3 that would be required to convict. Senator Kaine is teaming up with Republican Susan Collins from Maine to draft this censure legislation. The Constitution explicitly gives Congress authority only to punish its own members, except for the power of impeachment. A vote to censure someone in the executive or legislative branch, therefore, would express only a non-binding sense of Congress. The notion that a censure could block Trump from holding future federal office based on how Kaine and his supporters are reading Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, which says no person shall be a senator or representative in Congress or elector of president and vice president or hold any office, civil or military, under the United States or under any state who, having previously taken an oath as a member of Congress or as an officer of the United States or as a member of the state legislature or as an executive or judicial of any state to support the Constitution of the United States, shall have engaged in insurrection or rebellion against the same. Makes fucking sense, doesn't it? Steve Vladeck of the University of Texas Law School in Austin says there's a continuing legal question about whether the president is in fact an officer of the United States. The courts have yet to nail down the meaning when it comes to the person at the top of the executive branch. Now, Trump is assembling his all-star impeachment team for impeachment 2, Electric Boogaloo. No, I'm sorry, I lied. It is definitely not an all-star team.
Mr. President, the managers on the part of the House.
That's from the delivering of the articles of impeachment we watched the other day on the stream. Butch Bowers, a South Carolina lawyer. You're like, Butch who? Yeah, exactly. Butch Bowers has agreed to represent him in the historic proceedings. He's a respected lawyer from Columbia. That kind of surprises me. Who once worked in the Justice Department under George W. Bush. Bowers was connected to Trump by Senator Lindsey Graham. Of course. Charlie Condon, a former South Carolina attorney general who now works in private practice, has been approached about joining the legal team. But he said in a brief statement to CNN on Monday evening, "I am not representing former President Trump. Thanks." So that's the news that we have. I'd also seen a story that he had hired an attorney out of North Carolina as well. So we have that fun time to look forward to in the next couple of weeks. What's not a fun time to look forward to is the fact that South Carolina is now reporting the first known U.S. cases of a variant of the coronavirus from South Africa. This from NPR today, a little afternoon. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention say the variant, known as B1351, has been found in South Carolina. CDC is early in its efforts to understand this variant and will continue to provide updates as we learn more. At this time, we have no evidence that infections by this variant cause more severe damage or more severe disease. Like the UK and Brazilian variants, preliminary data suggests this variant may spread more easily and quickly than other variants. The two cases in South Carolina involve adults in the eastern part of the state from the Low Country and PD regions, according to the state's Department of Health and Environmental Control. At this point in time, there is no known travel history and no connection between these two cases. Now that's fucking scary. At least with the case we had in Minnesota, the dude had been to, what was it, Brazil? And brought back the South American variant. Oh boy. So given the prevalence of these new strains, we are now being told it's time to double or upgrade masks, according to the experts. The one time that I was around a number of people during this pandemic was when I went to cast my vote. And when I went to the polling place, I wore 2 masks. 2 surgical masks are kind of hard to breathe through. The discovery of highly transmittable coronavirus variants in the United States has public health experts urging Americans to upgrade the simple cloth masks that have become a staple shield during the pandemic. The change can be as simple as slapping a second mask over the one you already wear, or better yet, donning a fabric mask on top of a surgical mask. I live in a red state. That's why I had to vote in person. Apparently, I could have voted absentee, but I had to request it before like June 15th. And it was July something or other when I went, I wonder if I can get an absentee ballot. And the deadline had already passed. I'm like, fuck. But yeah, you guys vote by mail normally, don't you? Like, it wasn't even like a coronavirus thing. But Sparkles, my friend who was going to take me to the polls, I overslept. she was going to take me first thing in the morning. She actually had to stand in line. It was far more crowded. So because I overslept, I actually waited until, because I'm free and I work from home. So I waited until about 1:15, 1:30, I think, like right after lunch, midday. It's when I thought there would be the least amount of people. They didn't modify the qualifications. I live in a state that Donald Trump won by like 40-something points. They didn't do anything. We're like, fucking, you can go to a bar right now. You want to go meet me down at the bar? We'll go have a drink. There's no fucking mask mandate. What? There is no coronavirus in the minds of the people that live in my state. That's why I'm going to have to run against my representative. I don't know that I will gain any traction in that fight, but it would be fun to do it just so I can run on the proposition that Mo Brooks is a dumb fuck. So that would be my recommendation would be wear the surgical mask with the cloth mask over it. As I said, the 2 surgical masks were kind of hard to breathe through. But also, I just walked like 2.5 miles to go vote. That's the reason, like, Sparkles was going to take me to the polls, so I didn't have to walk 2.5 miles. But I lucked out.
Boris Johnson and Joe Biden rolling up their sleeves at vaccine...
Fucking Boris Johnson. I lucked out, though, because it was a gorgeous day. It was a beautiful walk. Felt great. It's downhill on the way, so I wasn't that winded by the time I got there. But yeah, two masks and just walked. I was Germany's vaccine commission said that the AstraZeneca coronavirus vaccine should not be given to people older than 65. And this is amid a bitter dispute between the European Union and the drug maker over delayed supplies. The country's main public health authority found that there is insufficient data on the effectiveness of the vaccine developed by AstraZeneca and the University of Oxford, but specifically for this age group. That's according to a statement from the Interior Ministry earlier today. Yeah, that sounds about right. Dogecoin. I don't know what any of that means. I'm gonna try to get financially literate, because I actually am in a position in life where, like, I could invest. Very coin, much sense. Now that I understand. I get that. I speak meme. All right, finally tonight, health workers stuck in the snow administer coronavirus vaccine to stranded drivers. This happened in Josephine County, Oregon. They said they walked from car to car giving shots to drivers with vaccine doses that would expire in 6 hours. Fucking awesome. Oh, I understand it is the meme. I know what it's based off of. Like, I've seen the Dogecoin with Doge on it. I don't understand crypto, Bitcoin. I don't understand financial products at all. As I said earlier on in the show, like, I actually edit for multiple companies that make financial products, such as, like, I edit for a firm that does little financial videos. I edit financial podcasts. Do not understand what they're talking about, and I'll be sitting here editing them, and I'll be like, Absolutely, I will. That's who I'll raid. I got you covered. They knew they only had 6 hours to get the remaining doses of coronavirus vaccine back to people who were waiting for their shots in Grants Pass, roughly 30 miles away, normally a 45-minute trip. But they got stuck behind a jackknifed trailer. Ahead of them, the crew realized they could be stuck for hours and the doses would expire, so the workers made the decision to walk from car to car, asking stranded drivers if they wanted to be vaccinated right there on the spot. How fucking cool is that? Oh yeah, I forgot. AOC is live tonight, explaining the GameStop shit. I thought about heading over there. We had one individual who was so happy he took his shirt off and jumped out of the car. Most drivers laughed at the offer and politely declined. Even though Mr. Weber said he had a doctor and an ambulance crew on hand to help oversee the operation. It was a strange conversation, he said. Imagine yourself stranded on the side of the road in the snowstorm, having someone walk up and say, "Hey, would you like a shot in the arm?" Is it that high? I had not seen a number on that. Are you shitting me, Dave? Fuck. 30 to 40% of the population, I guess like 30-something percent is what voted for Trump. So, I mean, you're likely to be close on that number. God damn, that's sad. Holy shit. All right, yeah, GX platform. He is watching, or GXG platform. Is that, yeah. He's watching the AOC stream. So I'm glad I brought it up. I'll hang out with you guys. Facebook, they learn this shit on Facebook. Yeah, I need to have you on. We need to talk about Facebook again. All right, if you are on Twitch, you're going over to GXG platform. Enjoy the AOC stream. Obviously, not many of you are watching on Twitch. Oh, no. Several of you are watching on Twitch. Rating me? What are you talking about? Go ahead, light one up, tip one back. It's all right to have a little fun before you hit the sack. I'm Justin Freakin. We'll see you tomorrow night on the Troll Patrol. Live.